Okay, this is the second part of the birth video, Julia. So, the birth story. So anyway, after lunch, this was probably 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I just felt like the contractions were coming stronger and harder, and probably be a good idea to do our final packing. Daddy seemed to have it in his mind that we should get ready to go to the hospital. And well, Daddy's always very worried about rush hour traffic and parking and those kinds of things. So we had sort of talked about, we'll drive down there at 3 or 4 before traffic gets really bad. And, if we don't feel like checking into the hospital, we'll just walk around at the UW and that type of thing. So it probably took us like another hour to get ready. We'd already packed the birth bag, but all those last minute things and things I had been using. Where are my relaxation Hypno Babies tapes? What about our toothbrushes? And oh, I need this for my hair. We need this food and all sorts of different things. Daddy kind of had to run all around the house trying to find where I had left all my stuff. But I think I was upstairs at that point, laboring, just sort of hanging out with Daddy and helping him pack things and find things. And toward the end, he was like, okay, well, I think I have everything in the car. We didn't want to go too early because we were afraid that, transporting me would slow down the contractions and that kind of a thing. But right before we left, I had some pretty intense ones, like the most intense ones that I had had at home. So I decided I was ready to get in the car. I didn't want to be traveling in the car while I was too far into labor because it kind of gets progressively less comfortable. So I was going to sit in the back seat and lean forward, but that was not comfortable. So I actually got down on the floor on my hands and knees behind the passenger seat, behind the shotgun seat. I was on my hands and knees leaning back over the bench seat next to Blakey's car seat. So I listened to my Hypno Babies tape, and it was skipping a lot, but it was better than nothing. And I would kind of be loud and noisy, I think, during the contractions. Oh, 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 sort of moaning. So Daddy knew when I was having one, but all in all, he did a really good job driving. I thought it was very smooth and not too herky-jerky, and I kind of knew where we were, but I definitely had my eyes closed the whole time. So we got to the hospital. He parked in the garage, and I got out of the car, and he was kind of like, oh, I have to go call Aunt Laura on the cell phone. I can't get cell reception. And oh, maybe we should walk around. Maybe we should do some other things. And I was like, I want to go in. I want to go in. I'm not comfortable. And that's, I think I would be more comfortable in a little cave in the hospital than standing out here at the parking garage. So later I found out that Daddy had been trying to stall me off a little bit because he was afraid I was sufficiently uncomfortable that if I got to the hospital and I wasn't very far dilated, that I would want an epidural. And I had told him later, before he told me that was exactly what I had in mind, because I was pretty uncomfortable and I was feeling a little shaky, and I was definitely like moaning loudly during every contraction. I'm sure we probably had to stop 5 or 10 times on the way up to the 6th floor to check in because I was having a lot of contractions during that time. And I'm sure people probably noticed, but I just closed my eyes and leaned on Daddy and did what I needed to do. So when we finally got up there to the 6th floor, they got me in an exam room, and I took off my pants right away and gave them a urine sample. And the midwife came in and checked me for how far dilated I was, and she actually kept her hand in my vagina during one of the contractions, and she gave me 2 pieces of great news. One was that she thought I was 6 or 7 centimeters dilated, and Gretchen had said don't check in unless you're at least 4. when I had gone there with Blake, I think I was like 2 or 3 centimeters dilated. So I was like, oh, thank God, 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters. That was really good news. And I really felt like I was close to the transition phase of where just need to dilate a little bit more and then we'll start pushing. And she said when she had her hand inside during the contraction, she could actually feel your head coming down, like she could reach up and feel your head moving toward the cervix. So that was really good news. So from there, they put me in a little robe, and I walked down to the labor and delivery room, and Auntie Laura was there, and Daddy was there, and I just did labor for a while. I thought it was about a 2-hour labor. It ended up actually being about 4. But I would just do different things. I would lean on the bed, pretty much was bending over, leaning on the bed, or kneeling on the bed and leaning on a birth ball the whole time. So I tried to be up and forward leaning, and that was comfortable and productive seeming. And so I felt good about that. And I noticed my big memories are Laura and Daddy were super supportive. I had my eyes closed most of the time. And in between contractions, someone was there, Laura and Daddy, to give me a drink of water or a drink of apple juice. And I felt like I could feel you sort of like moving down, your head moving down. I thought you were coming out. I was like, oh, she's about to come out anytime. It wasn't quite that fast, I guess, but it definitely felt like you were making progress. And the contractions were really intense. I remember sort of toward the end of the transition phase, I guess, just screaming really loudly, feeling like I was screaming like a train. Like, whoa! Whoa! It's sort of just like, wow, sounds like I'm one of those pregnant ladies on TV. Just screaming really loudly, and I wasn't doing my relaxation techniques anymore. I was pretty much white knuckling it, holding on to someone's hand or squeezing the bed mattress and that kind of a thing. So gripping the sheets. But by that time, it's sort of like you're not in control anymore. You're on a roller coaster. Your body's taking you on a ride, and you get to do what your body wants to do. So, yeah, so anyway, we did that for a while, and then I kind of felt like I had to poop. So I went, and I think I sat on the toilet and did poop a little bit. But then while I was there, after that, I had my first pushy contraction, and it just came on me. It was like, it was definitely a different feeling and kind of a nice relief or change of pace, at least from the contractions that I had been having. So then I was kind of like, oh, pushing contraction. But I thought the midwife would come right away. But then I went back out and had some more of, it seemed like kind of both kinds of contractions continued. When I wasn't on the toilet, I didn't have the pushing contractions consistently. So anyway, but those felt pretty similar, like I was having a poop, but just from a slightly different area, and the poop was about the size of a softball rather than a poop. But it was a nice relief. But after my body switched over to doing more pushing contractions, it was, I felt like they were, also, they became intense rather than a relief. And they were intense in their own way, and it was kind of like very convulsive pooping, I would say. But I felt like they were making progress, and it felt good, but it was another like, oh no, type of push. And finally I was kind of thinking, the baby can't come out when I'm just standing here with my legs straight, swinging my hips back and forth. I wanted to be able to spread my knees farther apart so that my pelvis could sort of be wider open, but I didn't want to do a squat because I felt like that would shoot you out too fast and be uncomfortable. So I sneaked off to the potty again, and Auntie Laura came with me, and I had a couple of contractions there. And I think at that point the midwife came in and sort of looked at me while I was on the toilet, and she said, well, you know, I kind of see some bulging, and then I had a contraction, and she's like, whoa, and I don't know what she said, but she got everyone running. More nurses came in. She put pillows down on the floor. I think she said, I'm delivering a baby in here. So she put down the pillows and everything right in front of the toilet, and she said, we don't want you to deliver your baby on the toilet, so can you walk? And I walked back over to the bed, but I didn't want to be standing up there with my legs straight again, so I kind of kneeled down in front of the bed where I was on my knees, but I was able to spread my knees far apart, and they put down towels and pillows on the floor there. And I did a couple of pushes, and then I was like, whoa, now the baby's really coming, and out you came. And my favorite push was, well, it was a really good push. It was just like, I felt really good movement. Like the push was really doing something when you came out. And then there was another push, which was my favorite push, which was when your shoulders came out, because it was really just like whoosh, and very fast and very effective. And there you were right in front of me. You landed on the pillows and the towels, and I got to be the first one to pick you up and hold you, and your umbilical cord was still attached and up inside me, and they said, pick up your baby, and I picked you up and turned around and sat down on the bed, and it was just, I think I said, it's a real baby. And there you were, and you came out, and you were just all covered with blood, but perfect and mine, and it was just an amazing feeling, and all that work, and there you were, and it was just wonderful the way it happened. And Daddy and Auntie Laura stayed with me, of course, and I held you up, and we nursed you right away. I nursed you, and they put a blanket around you and got you cleaned up. But I just hugged you and held you, and everyone there said it was such a beautiful birth, and they were so happy for me and proud of me, and I just felt really well supportive and loved, and I just thought it was a wonderful way for you to be able to come into the world, and I was really glad that that we had been able to do it that way for you. And I think it was again like 9:15 at night, so Daddy was exhausted after about an hour or two. He'd had all this adrenaline, and it just drained out of him, and he was beat, so he took a little nap on the couch, and Auntie Laura stayed with me, and we talked. She fed me grapes. She had brought all these snacks and things. So then we waited. The nurses had to do different measurements and checks and things. I had to get stitched up. Daddy was awake for that part. He was worried he wouldn't do well with the blood, but he did really well, and he was really supportive, and we were just so happy to see you. Auntie Laura got to cut your umbilical cord, and it was just a wonderful experience. So Auntie Laura stayed with me until midnight or 1 o'clock, when they transferred us down to our recovery room. Daddy woke up and took care of you and held you when the nurses went to take you and do the measurements and footprints and dry you off and that kind of thing. So he stayed with you. Somebody was always with you, and that was your first night in the world. So thank you for coming to join us, and here you are, just a perfect little baby, and we're so happy to have you, and thank you for joining us. And we had a little birthday party for you on Friday night with pink strawberry girl cupcakes, and it's been a wonderful experience so far. We love you. More soon. Bye-bye.